You fired up Elden Ring, opened your stats window, and thought to yourself, what the heck am I even looking at? You're not alone. Even Dodge Masters 3000, who've beaten the game a few times, don't fully know how it all works. In this video, you'll learn why S scaling isn't always better than B, and how to reduce incoming damage by 90%, and what the Arcane stat actually does. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to create any build that can delete bosses from the game. So grab a snack, kick back, and let's dive in. First things first, let's tackle how leveling works in Elden Ring. Unlike other games where leveling typically follows a straightforward linear progression, leveling in Elden Ring looks more like this. Quite different from the regular to the moon graph, right? Instead, we get weird resistance lines and stat bull runs every 20 levels, like some kind of Soulsborne stock market. That's because From Software didn't use a clear formula. They manually fine-tuned the optimal leveling values, plugged them into internal tables like the ones you'll see later, and added soft caps and hard caps to every stat. But what even are those? A soft cap is the point where the benefits from leveling sharply decline, typically around level 40. For example, let's say you've leveled Vigor up to 40. From level 10 to 40, you are gaining roughly 10 HP per level. But after hitting 40, you're suddenly only getting about 5 HP per level. That's your soft cap. Still useful, but less impactful. A hard cap, on the other hand, is the level where additional investment gives you practically nothing, usually around level 60. So if from levels 40 to 60, you got about plus 5 HP per level, from 60 to 99, you'd only get around plus 1 HP per level. Alright, we got through the tedious stuff, but don't worry, we'll revisit it later. Now let's talk runes, aka Elden Ring's currency. You get runes by defeating enemies or bosses, and spend them on leveling your character and buying items. Open your status screen, and in the top right corner, you'll see your current level, your runes, and how many you need for the next level. Let's visually break down how many runes you actually need. As this graph shows, there are two major soft caps, levels 40 and 80. To go from level 1 to 40, you'll need just 7 million runes. But leveling from 40 to 80 will cost you 12 million runes. And the next 20 levels from 80 to 100 will set you back 24 million runes, nearly double what it took to reach level 80. This is designed to slow your progression the further you advance, and it's pretty much baked into every aspect of Elden Ring. Alright, now that runes are covered, let's dive into the attributes. Your character has 8 main stats: Vigor, Mind, Endurance, Strength, Dexterity, Intelligence, Faith, and Arcane. You'll see these listed on the left side of your status window. Each stat affects different aspects of your character, from health and stamina to weapon damage, magic power, and even item discovery chances. Let's go through each one, starting with Vigor. Vigor is your health HP pool. The more Vigor you have, the longer your health bar. If you don't want to die in one hit from bosses, level Vigor. Want to survive exploring dangerous areas? Level Vigor. Don't want to die from a tiny fall? Guess what? Level Dexterity. Ha, gotcha. But seriously, Vigor is one of the most crucial stats and essential for almost every build. At the start, you have around 10 Vigor or 414 HP, which lets you survive 3 to 5 hits from Limgrave bosses without dying. Pumping it to level 40 gives you 1,450 HP, a solid increase from 1036 HP. After level 40, gains slow down dramatically. At level 60, you'll have 1,900 HP, only adding 450 HP across 20 levels. And at level 99, you'll max out at 2,100 HP, adding just 200 HP across the next 39 levels. Basically, it's smartest to level Vigor up to 40 by level 100, and then up to 60 by level 150 to 200. After that, it's just wasted runes. But if you really want to go big, maxing Vigor at 99 and stacking every possible HP buff gets you a whopping 3369 HP. Drop a comment below if you know exactly how to pull that off. As a bonus, Vigor also boosts your resistance to fire, poison, and curses. Now onto Mind, the second stat. Mind governs your FP focus points. That's your blue mana bar. You use it for casting spells and miracles, activating special weapon skills, Ashes of War, summoning spirit ashes. It's mostly important for mage builds, but even warriors can benefit. Let's look at this graph for optimal leveling. Mind provides modest gains up to level 30, giving you about 173 FP. Then there's a spike. Levels 30 to 50 give you 6 to 7 FP per level, bringing you to around 300 FP. After that, gains slow significantly. A plus 12 charged flask restores 224 FP, equivalent to having around 38 mind. For mages, aiming for 40 to 45 mind is ideal. Warriors should stick to around 20 to 30 to comfortably use their weapon stats and summons without drinking additional flasks. As a bonus, Mind boosts your resistance to sleep and madness, but only noticeably above level 30. Next up, Endurance. Endurance is responsible for your stamina, that green bar at the top, your equipment load, and some resistance stats. Stamina is used for everything: swinging weapons, rolling, sprinting, casting spells, you name it. According to the graph, there are two main soft caps, level 30 and level 50. After level 50, leveling it further gives you almost no benefit, but the most important part of Endurance is that it controls your maximum equip load. Every piece of gear in Elden Ring has a weight in kilograms. Light stuff can weigh 0.5 kilograms, while heavy armor can hit 29 kilograms. Your total equip load increases with Endurance, and the percentage of that load you're using determines your roll type. Under 30%, light load, which gives you a fast roll. 30 to 70% medium load, meaning you get a standard roll. 70 to 100% heavy load, so your roll becomes slow and clunky. Over 100%, you're overloaded. No rolling, no sprinting, just sadness. Oh, and that's not all. Endurance also affects attack range. Yep, the less you weigh, the further your attacks reach. It gives minor resistance to bleed and frostbite. And get this, lets you experience gravity in all its brutal glory. The heavier you are, the more fall damage you take. Thanks, physics. Now we're getting into the stats that increase your damage. Strength, dexterity, intelligence, and faith mostly exist for one purpose: smashing boss faces. But what exactly is damage in Elden Ring, and how the hell does it get calculated? Spoiler, this is a Souls game. Nothing's ever simple. In most games it's simple. You just take the base damage, multiply it by your scaling, add your weapon stat, and boom, you're done. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now let's loot another 50 million from the new Assassin's Creed. As for Elden Ring, well, better scaling means more damage? Wrong. Higher stats mean more damage? Wrong. A colossal hammer hits harder than 2 scimitars? Wrong again. So what actually is right? You've probably seen those weird letters on weapons, E to S, that represent scaling grades. These letters are just there to make things look pretty. Behind the scenes, they represent numerical scaling values that get plugged into damage formulas. Let's show what that actually looks like. As you can see, those values are fluid. And this is the catch. Each weapon has its own unique scaling. One dagger might have a scaling value of 24 at E grade, while another with D might be 25. Not a huge jump, right? Here's a big old chart showing all the numbers if you want to nerd out and compare weapons manually. So we've got the scaling coefficient, but how do we turn that into actual damage? Here's the basic formula Elden Ring uses. Base is your weapon's AR. Scaling is the number from the chart. But stat modifier is where the magic happens. It's calculated using this cursed-looking formula.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
A lot of parts, right? But all of them are taken from preset tables designed to control damage growth and keep things from going totally bonkers. You grab your current stat value, match it to the correct tier, say 18 to 60 or 60 to 80, and get your result. As for the 150 stat cap, wait, I thought the max was 99. That's because when you two-hand a weapon, your strength gets a 1.5 times multiplier, which pushes your effective stat up. After crunching the numbers, you get your modifier and can finally calculate total bonus damage. Here's how it works in a real example. Let's say you're rocking a greatsword with 30 strength and 30 dexterity. Its base damage is 164, with scaling of C for STR and E for DX, which equals 80 and 15 from the table. With value 30 of your stats, the modifiers are around 0.553, and the stat min and stat max are 18 and 60. So let's put all this into the formula and get 250 AR. Congrats, you just passed Elden Ring Advanced Calculus. Now go build a spreadsheet. And here's the takeaway. Base damage is king. Changing your weapon infusion can drop your base damage, even if your scaling jumps to S. So S scaling doesn't mean you'll have the best damage. Always check your base damage in sum of all stats. Now you know how damage works in Elden Ring and how to pick the right weapon for your build. Don't want to do all the math? No worries. We've already ranked the best weapons in this video right here. Go check it out. Next up, let's break down what each of the damage stats actually gives you, aside from raw AR. Strength. On top of providing some of the highest damage in the game, especially with two-handed weapons, Strength lets you bypass certain stat requirements when two-handing a weapon. It also boosts your physical defense slightly. The soft cap for Strength is 55. After that, gains slow down until level 80. Past 80, not worth it. Dexterity shares the same soft caps as strength. On top of that, it increases spellcasting speed, reduces fall damage, and lowers your chance of getting knocked off your horse. Handy stuff. Intelligence works a bit differently. If you're focusing purely on spell damage, your soft cap is 50. But for Ashes of War that scales with INT, the damage continues to grow up to level 80. As a bonus, Intelligence boosts your spell damage and your resistance to magic damage. Faith doesn't have any wild, unique bonuses, but it's necessary for most buffs in the game. Its soft caps work the same way as Intelligence. And now we arrive at the most mysterious stat in all of Elden Ring, Arcane. This one boosts your item discovery, aka drop rate, gives you extra resistance to holy damage, and helps prevent instant death effects. But the real kicker, Arcane increases your proc chance for bleed, poison, and frostbite. You've probably seen that meter at the bottom of bleed-infused weapons. The higher it is, the fewer hits it takes to trigger the effect. Arcane boosts this value using a formula you already know. Final bleed buildup equals base bleed plus base bleed times arcane scaling times arcane modifier. Here's a chart to convert that into the actual number of hits you need. Let's run the numbers for Bloodfang. It has a built-in bleed value of 55, meaning it'll trigger bleed in 3 to 4 hits against unarmored enemies. If you push that bleed number above 100 to 150, you're looking at a 2-hit proc. That's why bleed builds go hard on dual-wielding fast weapons like the Bandit's Curved Swords. The same principle applies to frost and poison builds. If you're scaling scales with arcane and another stat, your effective cap is around 43. But if you're going all in on Arcane for a bleed build, the cap jumps to 60. Past that is a waste of points. And we have only 2 stats in this part of the window. We'll start with the Poise. Poise is how hard it is for enemies to stagger or interrupt your attacks. You can't level it directly. It depends on your armor and certain talismans like the Bullgoat Talisman. For heavy PvE builds, 50 to 60 Poise is plenty. In PvP, aim for 70. If you're a dodge roll enjoyer, 30 to 40 will be okay. Memory slots determine how many spells you can have equipped at once. It doesn't matter how many spells you own. If they're not equipped, you can't use them. These slots aren't tied to your stats, but instead are expanded by using memory stones. You start with 2 slots. There are 8 memory stones hidden throughout the world, each adding +1 slot. Plus the legendary talisman Moon of Noxtella adds +2 more. That's a max of 12 memory slots, 10 from stones and 2 from the talisman. Now let's talk armor. Elden Ring uses 2 types of defense. Flat defense, which you can see on the screen, and percentage-based damage negation. Flat defense increases slightly with your strength stat and overall level. Just like everything else, armor scaling has its own soft caps. At character levels 71, 91, and 161, and strength levels 30, 40, and 60. Here's a rough breakdown. Leveling up gives you about 0.4 to all types of flat defense per level up to level 92. Strength gives you around 0.33 per level up to 30, then jumps to +1 per level until 60. Now for damage negation. Every armor piece lists resistances to different damage types. In the equipment window, you'll also see a value called damage negation. This is your percentage-based resistance, factoring in your gear, talismans, and buffs. To figure out how much damage you'll actually take, use this formula. For example, if you have 100 flat defense and 30% damage negation, and an enemy hits you for 200 raw damage, 200 times 100 divided by 100 plus 30 equals 200 times 0.769, roughly equals 153.8 damage taken. Now that we know how damage works, let's make a build that gives us 90% protection against any kind of damage. I won't spend a lot of time explaining how it all works. I'll just show you the full setup in detail so you can copy it and test it yourself. All I ask in return is a like and a subscribe. And the last but not the least window is status resistances. There are 4 resistances that determine how quickly status effects like poison or bleed build up. The longer your resistance bar, the harder it is for enemies to inflict that status on you. The actual damage or duration of the effect doesn't change, just how fast it triggers. Immunity, poison and scarlet rot. Robustness, bleed and frostbite. Focus, sleep and madness. Vitality, instant death. Recommended values for late game. Immunity, 200 to 300 plus. Robustness, 200 to 250. Focus, 150 to 200. Vitality, 150 to 200. Now you know what all those mysterious stats actually do in Elden Ring, how damage is calculated, how armor saves your butt, and why sometimes you still get one-shotted even while wearing armor heavier than a catapult. All the tables, charts, and even calculators, so you don't have to do the math yourself, will be linked in the video description. If this video helped you, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep making more of this content. And if you want to know where to farm runes for those stats, or what weapons are worth your time, check out our other vids. More epic content is coming. See you in the next one. Hawk Tua.